Hello, I'm Kate Stichin on InstaForex TV with the fresh Forex news. What are the economic perspectives for the second half of the year? It seems that the economy in May and June stalled. The initial jobless claims remain at the record high, and the consumer confidence is at a very low level. The pending home sales index dropped in May. The second recession's wave is still unlikely, but in the middle of summer we can see the tendencies which claim attention. Firstly, any forecast for the second half of the year should be made taking into account that the problems of the real estate market and the reduction of the state's budgets and local authorities will exert the downward pressure on the advance. After the tax remission for the house purchases promoted the increase of the housing demand in spring, the housing starts and sales fall. In order to balance the budgets, the local authorities and state governments will have to cut jobs and decrease the expenditures. As to the positive factors for the upturn, then much turns on the consumer spending. The propensity to expenses will depend on the situation on the labor market, especially taking into account the fact that the falling of the stocks negatively influenced the financial position of the consumers. As against the first half of the year, when the number of employees with the plus mark caused the positive sentiment, in the second half of the year it is needed that the monthly advance will be more than 125,000 in order that the unemployment will be less than 10%. If the growth rates of the jobs does not achieve the six-digit readings in the second half of the year, then the consumers most probably will be cautious regarding their spending, which are about 70% of the gross domestic product. This does not mean the second wave of the recession, but this shows that the advance of the real GDP can be less than 2% on the year. The companies will increase the number of jobs by high rates until they will not confident in the perspectives. The order for the business equipment are a good indicator of the business sentiments concerning the future. The companies do not order new equipment if they do not expect the deceleration of the demand. As to the business sentiments, then they will be affected by situation abroad. The uncertainty remains in regard to the crisis of the sovereign debt in Europe, the economic increase in China and geopolitical tension. If these problems or other unexpected events abroad lead to the worsening of the outlooks, then investors will refuse the risky assets in favor of asylum currencies. The strengthening of the investors' unwillingness to risk will be seen in the strengthening of the dollar, which in the second half of the year has already rose by 70.1% against the euro, in the further advance of the bond yield, which had already achieved the level of 5.9% this year. It was Forex News provided to you by InstaForex News team. Goodbye.